Colleagues, welcome to the webinar summary of the Clerks meeting, which was held under the Pen 2 funding, which covers the Hampshire colleges. And these are the minutes of the meeting of the 12th of June. There were 4 people present: myself, Tim Strickland, Jackie Ayres, Chris Davis from Eastleigh, and Pam Robinson from South Downs. Actually, it was a really good meeting. I've listed the apologies there. But as always with these groups, the dynamic of the room is made up by a sort of a core number of people, but it was a very good meeting. We started off by looking at SARs and considering their effectiveness, the format of them, what they do and how they do it. An important point made was that, of course, Ofsted don't prescribe a format for an SAR. It's a working document, dynamic working document, which drives self-reflection and improvement in standards across the college. But there is undoubtedly a trend going on towards much slimmer SARs, so the days of the, I'm just holding my fingers out to myself here, 2 and a bit centimetres thick SAR are fast going, and they've come down to a more manageable size. That's necessitated expressing a lot in bullet point, as you would expect. But the effectiveness of the SAR was also discussed, and of course, though most colleges, I think probably all, have it externally validated, actually just how useful it is as a working document is a question for the management of the college and for the way in which the document is put together in the first place. It's also useful, of course, in the SAR to make sure that it provides the benchmarks against which improvements can be judged. The item 4 on the agenda, but the second main bit of the agenda, I'd gone through the Ofsted reports which had come out between January and May, and I sectioned out a summary of comments relating to leadership and governance. These are quite interesting. Actually, we looked at each point and we tried to grade ourselves according to our individual colleges on whether we were in agreement that that was a grade 3 or a 2, or where were we in comparison to it. But there were some common things coming out. The use of linked governance, which pops up later on under item 6, was one. How rigorously governors challenge the strategic decision process and indeed strategic decisions made within the college was another. The effectiveness and timeliness of committees and information submitted to committees was another one. And how that knocks on to the ability of the governing body to make correct decisions. And finally, the last bit which we'd noted was the approach to risk management and the use of RAG ratings to try and simplify complex situations. Now those 5 bullet points are current thinking as was extracted from Ofsted reports of inspections which have been carried out after Christmas 2017 through until about early May 2017. So looking at those reports, finding the commonality, documenting it, was how we got to the 5 bullet points which you can see on the screen in front of you. The meeting moved on through to a quick discussion over the Technical and Further Education Bill, which has now been passed. We exchanged information on it, and some of us knew more about it than others. Of particular interest, as you would expect from this group, was the liability of governors' liability of college solvency and the governor's role within that. And I think the most important thing to note was that unless the governors acted in a fraudulent manner on purpose, then the responsibility for financial difficulties is not automatically that of a governor's. There's some quite interesting information on that on the web via the AOC site. So the other thing which we looked at also was the difficulty of briefing newly appointed governors, not putting them off when they start to sort of assimilate knowledge of the range of duties which they're going to perform. And that led neatly into a discussion about the link governor and the use of the link governor, which varies in colleges from a nod and a wink and that's about it, to a governor taking a really active role in listening to course boards, in listening to faculty boards, championing the cause of that faculty at SMT, at corporation, and attending SMT as well if that's required. So varying roles of linked governors, but what was interesting was the citing of linked governance within recent Ofsted reports and the evaluation of the effectiveness of linked governance and how that can be done in colleges. We moved on to our subject of what keeps you awake at night. In other words, bring to the table any pertinent points you might like to. The effectiveness of student governance and its training was the first thing which came up. And actually, the student union scored very well, having effective training in place. But it was questioned how many people engaged with it. We also discussed prevent and safeguarding for governors and how that needs to be incorporated into training schedules, and how governors can best prepare for Ofsted inspection, what briefs do they need, and who are the best people in the college to do that. So those items were the ones which people felt were particularly pertinent. There was one other thing there which came up, which was, as you will be aware, some clerks deal with insurances of colleges. I suggested that Crescent Purchasing Consortia was a good place to go looking, and passed on the contact details of Graham Peck of Risk to Value to Chris Davis of Eastleigh. So we had a discussion about meetings, the attendance at meetings. The value of a face-to-face meeting was not to be underestimated, and actually also was the ability of members to exchange information or documents, policies, procedures, etc., that sort of thing. And we'll be looking at that again in a meeting in the autumn term. So thank you for listening. That's the summary of the Clerks network of meeting of Hampshire, which was held on the 12th of June at Fareham College.